In the year 2157, Samuel Hart, a seasoned American engineer, found himself navigating the rugged and desolate terrain of the moon's dark side. The moon base where Samuel worked was a hub of scientific research and exploration, a beacon of human achievement nestled within the harsh lunar environment. Each day on the moon started much like the previous one, with a series of maintenance tasks and system checks that kept the base operational. Today was no different, until the unexpected happened. Samuel maneuvered his rover, the Pathfinder, across the cratered landscape, carefully avoiding the jagged rocks that punctuated the moon's surface. His routine inspection had begun without incident, a checklist of mundane but necessary tasks to ensure the base's continued functionality. Yet, as he diligently scanned the surroundings, a sudden spike in the rover's sensor readings broke the monotony. The readings were off the charts, indicating a source of energy unlike anything he had encountered before. "What in the world?" Samuel muttered to himself, his curiosity piqued. The coordinates of the anomaly pointed towards a nearby crater, one that had been mapped but never thoroughly explored. The data suggested something extraordinary lay within its depths. Adjusting his course, Samuel steered the Pathfinder towards the crater. The descent was steep, the crater's edge dropping sharply into darkness. He engaged the rover's enhanced traction control, designed specifically for such treacherous terrain. The vehicle responded smoothly, its powerful engines humming as it descended into the crater. As Samuel approached the bottom, the terrain became increasingly challenging. Loose rocks and fine lunar dust created a precarious path, but years of experience made Samuel adept at navigating these rocky slopes. His eyes scanned the landscape, seeking the source of the anomaly. Then, something caught his attention, a faint metallic glint, reflecting the weak sunlight that filtered down into the crater. "There's something here," he whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. He inched the rover closer, his heart pounding in his chest. Nestled between two large boulders was a figure, barely discernible against the rocky backdrop. The form was humanoid, but it was immediately clear that it was not human. Samuel parked the rover and donned his helmet, securing his suit's life support systems before stepping out into the lunar dust. Each step was deliberate, his movements slow and cautious. As he approached the figure, he realized it was a woman. Her skin was a deep, emerald green, with faint luminescent patterns running along her arms and legs, glowing softly in the shadows of the crater. She lay motionless, her breathing shallow and labored. Kneeling beside her, Samuel's initial shock gave way to a sense of urgency. He quickly assessed her condition, noting several injuries that appeared to be inflicted by some unknown weapon. Whoever she was, she needed help, and fast. Reaching for his comms device, Samuel contacted the base. "Control, this is Hart. I found someone, in Crater Alpha 12. She's injured and needs immediate medical attention. Over." There was a brief pause before the calm, professional voice of Dr. Grace Lynn, the base's chief medical officer, came through. "Copy that, Hart. We're sending a medical team to your location. Can you stabilize her?" "I'll do my best," Samuel replied, his mind racing. He carefully lifted the woman, her body surprisingly light in the moon's low gravity, and carried her to the rover. Placing her on a makeshift stretcher in the back, he secured her for the journey back to the base. As he navigated the rover back up the crater's slope, Samuel couldn't help but wonder who she was and where she had come from. The moon had been thought to be devoid of intelligent life, until now. The discovery of this mysterious woman raised more questions than answers, questions that Samuel was determined to find out. The trip back to the base felt like an eternity, every bump and jolt a reminder of the precarious situation. Finally, the base's structure loomed ahead, a collection of domes and tunnels that had become Samuel's home. The medical team was already waiting as he pulled up, Dr. Lynn at the forefront with a look of concern etched on her face. "We've got her," she said as they carefully transferred the woman from the rover to a stretcher. "Let's get her inside and stabilized. We'll figure out the rest later." As they disappeared into the medical bay, Samuel stood by the rover, taking a moment to process what had just happened. The moon's silent landscape stretched out before him, a stark contrast to the storm of thoughts swirling in his mind. Today had started like any other, but it had quickly turned into something extraordinary. Samuel knew that this was just the beginning of a mystery that could change everything they thought they knew about the moon, and perhaps even about humanity's place in the universe. The sterile, brightly lit corridors of Luna Base bustled with activity as the medical team hurried the injured woman to the infirmary. Samuel Hart followed closely, his mind racing with questions. Who was she? How had she ended up on the moon? And most importantly, what had happened to her? Dr. Grace Lynn, the chief medical officer, immediately took charge. With practiced efficiency, she and her team began examining the woman, connecting her to monitors and scanning her injuries. Samuel stood at a respectful distance, watching anxiously. The woman's deep emerald skin and luminescent patterns were unlike anything he had ever seen. She was clearly alien, and yet there was something undeniably human in her features. Samuel, Dr. Lynn called, breaking him from his reverie. We need to know everything you saw and did. Can you walk us through it? Samuel nodded and recounted his discovery in the crater, describing the woman's condition and the strange metallic glint that had first caught his attention. Dr. Lynn listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each detail. Her injuries are severe, Dr. Lynn said once Samuel had finished, but they don't match any known human weapons. Whatever caused this was designed to inflict maximum damage without killing immediately. It's as if they wanted her to suffer. The implications of her words hung heavily in the air. Samuel felt a surge of anger on behalf of the injured woman. Who could do such a thing and why? Is she going to be okay? Samuel asked, his voice tinged with concern. Dr. Lynn sighed, her eyes softening. She's stable for now, but we need to understand her physiology better to provide the right treatment. This is uncharted territory for us. I've already sent samples to the lab for analysis. As they spoke, the woman's eyelids fluttered. A soft groan escaped her lips, and her eyes slowly opened, revealing irises of a brilliant, otherworldly blue. She looked around, disoriented, before her gaze settled on Samuel. There was a moment of silence, and then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Where am I?" she asked, her words carrying a strange, melodic accent. "You're safe," Samuel said gently, stepping closer. "You're on Luna Base. My name is Samuel, and this is Dr. Lynn. We found you injured in a crater and brought you here." The woman winced in pain as she tried to sit up, but Dr. Lynn gently restrained her. "Easy, you're hurt. We need you to rest and recover." "My name is Lyra," the woman said, her voice growing a bit stronger. I was being hunted. They will come for me." Samuel and Dr. Lynn exchanged a worried glance. "Who are they?" Samuel asked. Lyra closed her eyes, as if summoning the strength to speak. "A faction of my people," she began. "They seek to control a powerful technology that I possess. When I refused to help them, they hunted me down. I escaped to your world, hoping to find sanctuary and allies." Dr. Lynn's expression hardened with resolve. "We'll do everything we can to protect you, Lyra, but we need to know more about this technology and who we're dealing with." Lyra nodded weakly. "I will tell you everything, but first, I need time to recover. The journey was long, and my strength is nearly gone." "Of course," Dr. Lynn said. "Rest now. We'll be here when you're ready to talk." As Lyra drifted back into unconsciousness, Samuel felt a profound sense of responsibility settle over him. The moon, once a barren and lifeless frontier, had suddenly become the stage for an interstellar conflict. He couldn't help but wonder what dangers lay ahead and what role he would play in the unfolding events. Leaving the infirmary, Samuel returned to his quarters, his mind buzzing with the day's revelations. The familiar surroundings offered little comfort as he pondered the extraordinary turn of events. The image of Lyra's luminous patterns and her haunting, otherworldly eyes stayed with him, a reminder of the mystery that now enveloped Luna Base. As he lay down to rest, Samuel knew that life on the moon had irrevocably changed. The discovery of Lyra and the threat of her pursuers had set in motion a chain of events that would challenge everything they knew about their place in the universe. He resolved to be ready for whatever came next, determined to protect the newfound ally who had crash-landed into their lives. The soft hum of machinery filled the lab as Dr. Grace Lynn analyzed the samples taken from Lyra. Samuel Hart, unable to sit still, paced back and forth. The urgency of their situation weighed heavily on him, knowing that whoever had harmed Lyra could be on their way to Luna Base. "Samuel, you need to calm down," Dr. Lin said without looking up from her microscope. "Pacing won't make the results come any faster." "I know," Samuel replied, running a hand through his hair. "I just can't shake the feeling that we're sitting ducks here. We need to understand what we're up against." Dr. Lin sighed and turned to face him. "And we will. But right now, what we need most is patience. Lyra's physiology is incredibly complex. It's going to take time to understand how best to help her and what exactly we're dealing with." Just then, the door to the lab hissed open and Lieutenant Arya Foster strode in. As head of security for Luna Base, she had been briefed on the situation and had come to discuss their defensive measures. "Any updates?" Arya asked, her sharp eyes taking in the scene. "Nothing concrete yet," Dr. Lin replied. "But Lyra's injuries are consistent with advanced energy weapons. Whoever attacked her has technology far beyond our own." Arya nodded, her expression grim. "We need to fortify our defenses. If what Lyra said is true, her pursuers won't stop until they find her." Samuel stopped pacing and turned to Arya. "What can we do to prepare?" Arya crossed her arms, thinking for a moment. "We'll need to increase patrols around the perimeter and set up additional surveillance. Our current defense systems might not be enough against a technologically superior enemy. We also need to consider evacuation protocols for the colonists, just in case." "I can help with the tech," Samuel offered. "Maybe we can integrate some of Lyra's technology into our systems. She mentioned she could help us understand it." "That's a good idea," Dr. Lin said. "But we need to proceed carefully. We don't fully understand how her technology works, and it could be dangerous." As if on cue, Lyra's voice came softly from the doorway. "I can guide you." Everyone turned to see Lyra standing there, looking pale but determined. She took a few steps into the lab, her movements slow and deliberate. "You should be resting," Dr. Lin admonished gently. "I appreciate your concern, Dr. Lin," Lyra said, a faint smile on her lips. "But time is not on our side. If we are to stand a chance, we must act quickly." Arya stepped forward. "What can you tell us about your pursuers? And how can we use your technology to defend ourselves?" Lyra took a deep breath, steadying herself. "My people, the Valorians, have always been divided between those who seek knowledge for the betterment of all and those who crave power. The faction hunting me falls into the latter category. They possess weaponry that can disable most conventional defenses. However, there are ways to counteract their attacks." She walked over to a console and began inputting commands. The screen lit up with complex schematics and data. "This is a shield generator," Lyra explained. "It can create a barrier that disrupts their energy weapons. I can help you build it using materials you already have here." Samuel looked at the designs, his mind racing with possibilities. "We'll need to get started immediately." Dr. Lin nodded. "I'll oversee the medical aspects, make sure we're prepared for any injuries. Samuel, you and Lyra handle the tech. Arya, focus on fortifying our defenses and preparing the colonists." Arya saluted briskly. "Understood. Let's move, people." For the next several hours, Luna Base buzzed with frenetic activity. Engineers and technicians worked alongside Samuel and Lyra to construct the shield generator. Lyra's knowledge proved invaluable, her instructions clear and precise despite her weakened state. As they worked, Samuel found himself drawn to Lyra's resilience and determination. She was a beacon of calm amidst the chaos, her every move calculated and purposeful. "Lyra," Samuel said during a brief respite, "I have to ask, why did you come to Earth's moon of all places?" Lyra paused, her eyes distant for a moment. "I sought a place where my pursuers would least expect. The moon, though close to your home world, is remote and less populated. I hoped it would give me enough time to find allies and plan my next move." Samuel nodded, understanding the gravity of her situation. "Well, you've found allies here. We'll stand with you." By the end of the day, the shield generator was operational. Its hum filled the air, a tangible reminder of the alliance they had forged. The base was fortified, patrols increased, and evacuation protocols established. The colonists, though apprehensive, were prepared for whatever came next. As night fell over Luna Base, Samuel stood at the entrance, gazing at the stars. Somewhere out there, Lyra's pursuers were coming. But they would be ready. Lyra joined him, her presence a quiet strength by his side. "Thank you, Samuel," she said softly, "for believing in me." Samuel smiled, his resolve stealing. "We're in this together, Lyra. Whatever happens, we'll face it as one." Together, they watched the horizon, the unknown future looming ahead. But for now, they stood united, ready to defend their fragile sanctuary against the coming storm. The stillness of the lunar night was abruptly shattered by the shrill alarm of the base's warning system. Samuel's heart jolted awake, the urgency of the sound sending a surge of adrenaline through his veins. He quickly dressed and rushed to the command center, where Lieutenant Arya Foster was already coordinating the response. "They're here," Arya announced, her voice steady but eyes sharp with focus. Multiple unidentified vessels approaching fast. Samuel joined her at the control console, eyes scanning the data streaming in. The radar showed several ships descending toward Luna Base, their intent unmistakably hostile. "How long until they reach us?" 10 minutes, maybe less," Arya replied, barking orders into her communicator. "All units to defensive positions. Activate the shield generator." The base sprang to life, colonists and security personnel moving swiftly to their assigned stations. Samuel felt a mix of fear and determination as he left the command center to join Lyra in the tech lab. She was already there, her fingers flying over the controls as she fine-tuned the shield generator. "Is it ready?" Samuel asked, breathless. Lyra nodded, her expression focused. "The shield will hold, but it won't be enough on its own. We need to be prepared for a ground assault." Samuel placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've fortified our defenses and trained for this. We'll hold them off." The base's main lights dimmed as power was diverted to the shield generator. A low hum filled the air, and a shimmering barrier formed around the base. Through the transparent dome, Samuel could see the alien ships descending, their sleek forms cutting through the darkness. "All units, hold your positions," Arya's voice commanded over the intercom. "Prepare for impact." The first wave of attacks hit the shield with a brilliant flash of light, causing the ground to tremble. The energy blasts dissipated harmlessly against the barrier, but Samuel knew it was only a matter of time before the invaders tried to breach it more directly. "Here they come," Lyra said, her voice calm but tense. "Get ready." The alien ships hovered above the base, their weapons firing relentlessly at the shield. The barrier held, but Samuel could see the strain in the fluctuating energy field. Suddenly, smaller craft detached from the main vessels, descending rapidly towards the surface. "Drop ships," Samuel muttered. "They're going to try and break in on foot." As the alien ground troops landed, the base's automated turrets activated, targeting the invaders with precision. Energy blasts and gunfire lit up the lunar landscape as the defenders engaged the enemy. "Everyone to the front lines," Arya ordered. "We need to hold them off until the shield stabilizes." Samuel and Lyra joined the defenders, weapons in hand. The invaders, humanoid but with an otherworldly appearance, advanced with alarming speed and coordination. The colonists fought valiantly, but the sheer number of attackers was overwhelming. Lyra's alien knowledge proved invaluable. She directed the defenders to weak points in the enemy's armor and coordinated counterattacks that slowed their advance. Samuel fought alongside her, his heart pounding with the intensity of battle. "Hold the line," Arya shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We can't let them breach the base." Despite their efforts, the invaders pushed closer to the shield generator. Samuel realized they were targeting it specifically, knowing it was their best chance to disable the base's defenses. "We need to protect the generator," Samuel yelled to Lyra. "If they take it out, we're finished." Lyra nodded, her expression determined. "Follow me." They fought their way through the chaos to the generator's location. The invaders were relentless, but Samuel and Lyra managed to hold them off long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Together, they formed a defensive perimeter around the generator, fending off wave after wave of attackers. As the battle raged on, a sudden explosion rocked the base. Samuel turned to see one of the main doors blown open, more invaders pouring through the breach. Panic surged, but he forced it down, focusing on the fight. "We can't hold them much longer," Lyra warned, her voice strained. Samuel knew she was right. The base's defenses were being stretched to their limits. Just when it seemed they might be overrun, a brilliant light erupted from Lyra. She raised her hands, and a powerful energy pulse radiated outwards, disrupting the invaders' technology and sending them into disarray. The alien troops staggered, their weapons malfunctioning. Seizing the opportunity, the defenders launched a counterattack, driving the invaders back. Samuel and Lyra led the charge, their determination fueling the colonists' resolve. Gradually, the tide of battle turned. The invaders, realizing their attack had failed, began to retreat. Their ships lifted off, disappearing into the lunar sky. As the last of the alien forces vanished, a cheer erupted from the colonists. They had survived the first assault, but Samuel knew this was only the beginning. Breathing heavily, he turned to Lyra. "That was incredible. How did you do that?" Lyra smiled faintly, her exhaustion evident. "A little trick from my people. It won't work again, though. They'll be ready for it next time." Samuel nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "We need to regroup and prepare for their return. They won't give up easily." Arya approached, her expression a mix of relief and determination. "We did well, but we need to stay vigilant. This isn't over." Samuel glanced around at the weary but triumphant faces of the colonists. "We'll be ready. Together, we can face whatever comes." As the first light of dawn broke over the lunar horizon, Samuel felt a renewed sense of hope. They had fought off the invaders once. They could do it again. The battle for Luna Base had only just begun. The atmosphere within Luna Base was a mixture of relief and tension following the hard-won victory against the alien invaders. Samuel Hart stood at the entrance, watching the barren lunar landscape bathed in the soft glow of the Earth hanging above. Despite their success, he knew the threat was far from over. Inside the command center, Lieutenant Arya Foster and Lyra worked tirelessly, analyzing the data from the battle and planning their next steps. Samuel joined them, the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. "We need to figure out why they attacked and what they're after," Arya said, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the enemy ships. "Their persistence suggests there's something here they want desperately." Lyra nodded, her face thoughtful. "It has to be more than just conquest. There's something specific they're targeting. We need to find out what it is and use it to our advantage." Samuel considered this. "We should start by examining the alien technology we've recovered. Maybe we can find clues about their motives." "Agreed," Arya said. "We also need to strengthen our defenses. Next time, they'll come back stronger and better prepared." The three of them moved to the tech lab, where they had gathered pieces of alien equipment from the battlefield. Lyra's alien heritage gave her unique insight into the technology, and she quickly began deciphering the devices. "This," she said, holding up a small, sleek device, "is a data core. It contains information on their tactics, weapons, and possibly their objectives." "Can you access it?" Samuel asked, leaning in. Lyra nodded, her fingers working deftly over the device. "It will take some time, but I should be able to extract the data." While Lyra worked, Samuel and Arya focused on the immediate needs of the base. They organized repair teams, fortified the defenses, and ensured the colonists were prepared for another potential assault. Hours later, Lyra called them back to the tech lab. "I've got it," she announced, her eyes gleaming with excitement and concern. The data core contains their mission logs and strategic plans. Samuel and Arya gathered around as Lyra projected the information onto a large screen. The logs revealed that the invaders were part of a faction seeking a powerful energy source believed to be hidden beneath Luna's surface. This energy source, Lyra explained, is immensely powerful. In the wrong hands, it could be used to fuel devastating weapons or provide immense power for conquest. They believe it's here, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. Samuel felt a chill run down his spine. "So that's why they're so determined. We need to find it first and secure it." "Exactly," Arya agreed. "If we can locate it, we can protect it and prevent them from using it against us." Lyra nodded. We also need to find a way to harness it ourselves. It could be the key to strengthening our defenses and ensuring the safety of the colony. The urgency of their mission became clear. They needed to locate the energy source before the invaders could launch another assault. Samuel organized a reconnaissance team, including Arya and Lyra, to explore the suspected locations beneath the lunar surface. As they descended into the labyrinthine tunnels, the atmosphere grew tense. The faint glow of their lights revealed ancient structures and artifacts, hinting at a long-lost civilization that once thrived on the moon. "We're getting close," Lyra said, studying the readings on her handheld scanner. "The energy readings are getting stronger." The team pressed on, following the signals deeper into the tunnels. Finally, they reached a large cavern, its walls pulsing with a faint, ethereal light. In the center of the cavern lay a massive crystal, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly energy. "This is it," Lyra whispered, awestruck. "The energy source." Samuel approached the crystal, feeling the power radiating from it. "We need to secure this area and study the crystal. This could change everything." Arya nodded, already contacting the base to organize a security detail. "We'll need to set up a perimeter and bring in more equipment to analyze and protect it." As they worked to secure the cavern, Samuel couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. They had found the energy source, but it was only a matter of time before the invaders returned. They had to be ready for anything. Returning to the base, Samuel addressed the colonists, his voice filled with determination. "We've discovered the source of their interest. Now, we need to protect it and use its power to defend our home. We've faced them before and won. We'll do it again. Together, we can overcome any challenge." The colonists responded with cheers and renewed resolve. The discovery of the energy source had given them a new purpose and a powerful advantage. As the team prepared for the next phase of their mission, Samuel knew the true battle for Luna Base had just begun. The future was uncertain, but with unity and determination, they were ready to face whatever came next. Luna Base buzzed with activity as the colonists rallied around their new objective, securing and understanding the energy source. The discovery of the ancient crystal had given them hope, but it also brought an increased sense of urgency. Samuel Hart, Arya Foster, and Lyra led the efforts, knowing that time was not on their side. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was intense. Samuel reviewed the security plans while Arya coordinated with the newly formed defense squads. Lyra, deep in thought, studied the data they had gathered from the crystal. "This energy source is unlike anything I've ever seen," Lyra said, her eyes glued to the holographic display of the crystal. "If we can harness its power, we could create a shield around the base, making it nearly impenetrable." Samuel nodded, absorbing her words. "We need to move quickly. The invaders won't give us much time." "Arya, how are the preparations coming along?" "Defenses are being fortified," Arya replied, her voice steady but tense. "The colonists are ready to defend the base, but we need more than just physical barriers. Psychological resilience will be crucial." Lyra looked up from her work, her expression serious. "I can start working on integrating the crystal's energy into our systems, but it will take time. We need to be prepared for the possibility that the invaders might strike before we're fully ready." Samuel's jaw tightened. "Then we'll have to be ready to fight them off again. We can't let them take this crystal." As the team dispersed to their respective tasks, a figure slipped into the shadows, unnoticed. Jason, a trusted member of the colony's engineering team, moved with deliberate purpose. His eyes darted nervously as he made his way to a secluded corner of the base where a hidden communication device awaited. Activating the device, Jason transmitted a coded message, his hands trembling. "This is Jason. They found the crystal. It's in a cavern beneath the base, awaiting further instructions." A few moments later, a reply crackled through the device. "Good work. Ensure the defenses are compromised. We will arrive soon." Jason swallowed hard, his conscience battling his fear. He had made a deal with the invaders to ensure his survival, but now, seeing the hope and determination of his fellow colonists, doubt gnawed at him. Back in the tech lab, Lyra made significant progress in deciphering the crystal's energy patterns. She connected the crystal to the base's mainframe, initiating a power transfer that caused the entire base to hum with newfound energy. "It's working," Lyra announced, her voice filled with excitement. "The crystal's energy is integrating with our systems. We should see an increase in power output and defensive capabilities soon." Samuel and Arya joined her, watching as the base's power levels surged. "This could be the edge we need," Arya said, her eyes bright with hope. But their moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the base, signaling an imminent threat. Samuel's heart sank as he accessed the security feed, seeing the enemy ships descending towards Luna Base. "They're here," he said, his voice grim. "Everyone, to your positions. Prepare for an attack." As the colonists mobilized, Jason's actions came to light. A series of system failures began to occur, weakening the base's defenses. Samuel and Arya quickly realized that someone had sabotaged their efforts. "We have a traitor among us," Arya said, her eyes narrowing. "We need to find them before it's too late." Lyra's fingers flew over the console, tracing the source of the sabotage. "It's coming from the engineering sector," she said. "Jason's been acting suspiciously. We need to confront him." Samuel and Arya raced to the engineering sector, finding Jason in the midst of disabling another system. "Jason, step away from the console," Samuel ordered, his voice cold with anger. Jason froze, guilt and fear etched across his face. I had no choice," he stammered. "They threatened to kill me if I didn't help them." "You've endangered us all," Arya said, her voice tight with controlled fury. "Deactivate the sabotage. Now." With shaking hands, Jason complied, reversing the damage he had done. The base's systems began to stabilize, but the invaders were already closing in. "Lock him up," Samuel ordered. "We'll deal with him later. Right now, we need to focus on the battle ahead." As Jason was led away, Samuel, Arya, and Lyra returned to the command center. The first wave of enemy ships had reached the base, and the defensive turrets roared to life, targeting the invaders with precision. "Everyone, hold your ground," Samuel commanded over the comms. "We've prepared for this. Remember what we're fighting for." The battle raged with an intensity that surpassed the previous attack. Energy blasts lit up the sky, and the ground shook with the impact of explosions. Despite their preparations, the colonists were pushed to their limits, fighting with a tenacity born of desperation and hope. In the midst of the chaos, Lyra activated the enhanced shield powered by the crystal's energy. A shimmering barrier enveloped the base, deflecting the enemy attacks and giving the colonists a much-needed respite. "We're holding them off," Arya said, her voice steady amidst the turmoil. "But we need to push them back for good." Samuel nodded, his determination unwavering. "We will. Together, we can overcome any challenge." As the invaders continued their relentless assault, the colonists fought with everything they had, their spirits unbroken. The battle for Luna Base was far from over, but with the power of the crystal and their united resolve, they stood a chance against the overwhelming odds. The invaders' relentless assault showed no sign of abating. The air was thick with the acrid smell of smoke and the sharp tang of burning metal. Luna Base's newly activated energy shield flickered and pulsed under the continuous barrage. Samuel, Arya, and Lyra coordinated their defense efforts with a precision born from necessity and determination. In the command center, Samuel's eyes darted between screens displaying various sections of the base. "They're concentrating their fire on the western sector," he said, his voice clipped with urgency. "We need to reinforce those defenses." Arya nodded and immediately relayed orders to the defense squads. "Focus all available firepower on the western front. Hold them back at all costs." Outside, the colonists fought with a ferocity fueled by desperation and hope. Defensive turrets, now powered by the crystal's energy, unleashed devastating volleys at the approaching enemy ships. The shield, though wavering, held strong, deflecting many of the energy blasts aimed at the base. Lyra remained at her console, fingers flying over the controls as she monitored the shield's integrity. "The crystal's energy is depleting faster than anticipated," she reported, worry etched on her face. "If we don't find a way to stabilize it, the shield will fail." Samuel's mind raced. Is there any way to amplify the crystal's output or recharge it? Lyra hesitated. There's one possibility, but it's risky. We could attempt to create a feedback loop, channeling the base's own energy back into the crystal to boost its power. But if it backfires, we could lose the shield entirely. We don't have a choice, Arya said firmly. It's our best shot. Samuel agreed. Do it, Lyra. We'll cover you. As Lyra worked to set up the feedback loop, the invaders launched a new wave of attacks. Explosions rocked the base, and several colonists were thrown off their feet. Arya quickly mobilized the medics to tend to the wounded, her leadership steady and unwavering. Stay strong, she shouted, rallying the defenders. We can't let them breach our defenses. Lyra completed the final adjustments to the feedback loop, her hands shaking with the weight of the responsibility. It's ready, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Samuel gave her a reassuring nod. Activate it. Lyra took a deep breath and initiated the sequence. The base's lights flickered, and for a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as though everything would fail. Then, with a surge of power, the crystal glowed brighter, and the shield regained its strength, shining more brilliantly than before. It's working, Lyra exclaimed, relief flooding her voice. The renewed shield deflected the enemy fire with increased efficacy, giving the colonists a much-needed advantage. Samuel and Arya directed their forces with renewed vigor, capitalizing on the momentary respite. As the battle raged on, the invaders' determination faltered. The combined efforts of the colonists, the advanced defenses, and the powerful shield began to turn the tide. Slowly but surely, the attackers were pushed back. In the midst of the chaos, a large enemy ship, more heavily armed than the others, descended towards the base. It was clear that this was the command vessel, the heart of the invaders' operations. We need to take that ship down, Samuel said, his eyes locked on the screen. If we can destroy their command vessel, we can break their assault. Arya nodded. We'll need all available firepower. Lyra, can you direct the shield's energy to target that ship? Lyra's eyes widened at the audacity of the plan, but she nodded resolutely. I can do it. Give me a moment. As Lyra recalibrated the shield's energy, Samuel and Arya coordinated the attack. All units, focus your fire on the command vessel. This is our chance to end this. The colonists responded with fierce determination, concentrating their firepower on the massive ship. Energy blasts, rockets, and laser beams converged on the target, each hit rocking the vessel with increasing intensity. Lyra's fingers danced over the controls as she directed the shield's energy into a concentrated beam. Ready, she announced. Fire, Samuel commanded. A brilliant beam of energy shot from the shield, striking the command vessel with devastating force. The ship shuddered, its hull glowing white-hot before it exploded in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave from the explosion knocked everyone off their feet, but when the dust settled, the remaining enemy ships were retreating, their assault broken. Cheers erupted from the colonists as the invaders fled. Samuel, Arya, and Lyra stood together, their faces reflecting a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and triumph. We did it, Arya said, her voice choked with emotion. We actually did it. Samuel nodded, a weary smile breaking across his face. We held the line. Luna Base is safe. Lyra looked at the crystal, now dim but still intact. We have a lot of work ahead to repair the damage and understand the crystal's full potential, but for now, we've won. As the colonists began to regroup and tend to the wounded, Samuel addressed them, his voice strong despite the fatigue. We faced incredible odds and emerged victorious. This is just the beginning. Together, we will rebuild and thrive. Luna Base is our home, and we will protect it with everything we have. The colonists cheered, their spirits lifted by the victory and the promise of a brighter future. The battle had been hard-fought, but their unity and resilience had carried them through. As the Martian sky began to clear, the colonists looked towards the horizon, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with hope and determination. The aftermath of the battle left Luna Base scarred but resilient. The Martian landscape, once a battleground, now lay silent under the crimson sky. Samuel, Arya, and Lyra worked tirelessly alongside the colonists to rebuild and fortify their home. The repairs were extensive, but the victory had infused everyone with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. In the days following the battle, the colonists gathered in the central square to commemorate their fallen and honor their heroes. A memorial was erected, its base inscribed with the names of those who had given their lives to protect Luna Base. Samuel stood before the crowd, his voice steady as he addressed them. "We have faced unimaginable challenges and emerged stronger," he said. "Today, we honor the bravery and sacrifice of our comrades. Their legacy will guide us as we rebuild and prepare for whatever the future holds." The crowd stood in solemn silence, then erupted into applause. The sense of unity and shared purpose was palpable, a testament to their collective resilience. As the days turned into weeks, the rebuilding efforts progressed. The crystal's energy continued to power the base, its mysteries slowly unraveling under Lyra's diligent research. The colonists worked in shifts, repairing damaged structures, enhancing defenses, and improving their living conditions. Arya took charge of fortifying their defenses, ensuring that Luna Base would be prepared for any future threats. She coordinated with the colony's engineers to integrate the alien technology that Zara had shared, creating a formidable defense system that was both innovative and robust. "Every aspect of our defenses must be perfect," Arya said during one of their strategy meetings. "We can't afford to be caught off guard again." Lyra, meanwhile, delved deeper into the crystal's potential. She discovered that its energy could not only power their shields and weapons, but also improve their agricultural systems and medical facilities. The crystal's applications seemed limitless, offering new possibilities for the colony's future. "We're just scratching the surface of what this crystal can do," Lyra explained to Samuel and Arya. "It could revolutionize the way we live and work on Mars." Samuel nodded, impressed by her findings. "Let's focus on making our base self-sufficient first. We need to ensure that we can sustain ourselves no matter what happens." As they implemented these improvements, a sense of normalcy began to return to Luna Base. The colonists, though still vigilant, started to rebuild their lives. Families gathered in communal areas, children played in the revamped recreation zones, and the base buzzed with the energy of renewal. One evening, as the Martian sun set, casting long shadows over the base, Samuel, Arya, and Lyra gathered in the command center to reflect on their progress. "We've come a long way," Samuel said, looking out at the bustling colony. "But there's still much to be done." Arya nodded. "Our defenses are stronger than ever, but we need to stay vigilant. The invaders will come back eventually." Lyra added, "And we need to continue exploring the crystal's potential. It holds the key to our survival and prosperity." As they spoke, a transmission came through on the comms. It was a message from Earth, a rare and welcome occurrence. "This is Mission Control," the voice crackled over the speaker. "We've received your reports and are amazed by your progress. Reinforcements and supplies are on their way. Hang in there, Luna Base." The news brought a wave of relief and excitement. The colonists gathered to hear the message, their spirits lifted by the promise of support from Earth. It was a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle and that their efforts were recognized and valued. In the following weeks, the supplies and reinforcements arrived, boosting their resources and morale. Among the new arrivals were scientists, engineers, and medical personnel, eager to contribute to the burgeoning colony. Samuel stood before the new arrivals, welcoming them with open arms. "Welcome to Luna Base. We're glad to have you here. Together, we'll build a future on Mars that we can all be proud of." The new members quickly integrated into the colony, bringing fresh perspectives and expertise. The base's defenses were further enhanced, and new projects were initiated to improve their quality of life. Greenhouses flourished with earth crops, powered by the crystal's energy, and medical facilities were upgraded to provide better care for the colonists. Arya, Samuel, and Lyra continued to lead with unwavering dedication, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced. They knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but their resolve was unshakable. As the Martian year progressed, Luna Base thrived. The colonists, united by their shared experiences and determination, worked tirelessly to secure their future. They knew that the invaders would return, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. On a clear Martian night, Samuel, Arya, and Lyra stood together, looking out at the stars. The journey had been arduous, but they had built something truly remarkable. A community bound by resilience, hope, and the promise of a new beginning. To the future, Samuel said, raising a makeshift toast. To Luna Base, Arya and Lyra echoed, their voices filled with pride and determination. Under the vast Martian sky, Luna Base stood as a beacon of human perseverance and ingenuity, a testament to what they could achieve together. And as the stars shone brightly above, they knew that no matter what came next, they would face it as one.